So I would like to extend a welcome to all the speakers. We'll be beginning in about 3 minutes. I think I have spoken before to Mr. Sujit.
Hi, Sujit
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So I
Hi.
represent Ekatvam Plastic Recycling, and we are a Navi Mumbai-based company.
Right.
And so we are a relatively newcomer in this particular field, and we're focusing more on plastic waste. So
Right.
somewhere we are tied up with cement factories. We also run MRF centers, and also do recycling. So it's a combination of forward and backward integration that we currently do.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. And Mr. Abhijit, you're based out of
Mumbai.
no Abhijit. Abhishek, sorry, Abhishek.
Yes. Based out of Mumbai.
Oh,
And
Mumbai.
yeah. So we are into providing purely consulting and assurance services under EPR domain. And we work with majority the brands and the companies and the producers in terms of guiding and helping them in their compliances, as well as a lot of other activities in terms of the plastic waste management rules. It's been more than 5 years since we are there in this industry in EPR. And yeah, and looking forward to talk about my favorite topic, EPR. So we
Sure,
are
sure.
currently not only in plastic and but all kind of EPR which is currently applicable in India. And we are also started working in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
And because EPR is now a global phenomena, it's no more restricted to only some country. It's going to be EPR is going to be a common regulation across 180 countries very soon. So yeah,
Oh,
it's a very noble thing, and I'll be trying to cover little background about it, and then setting up the basic context and concept, and then moving on to registration, and that's how I plan to.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Raghavendra, you are based out of Noida, right?
Yeah, Delhi.
Right.
We are also a certification consulting firm. Majorly, we are dealing with the product certification. You heard about actually ISI mark. And we added this EPR services in 2018. We are actually initially do a e-waste. After 2021, we are in a EPR plastic waste.
Okay.
Sorry, actually, my pick are I think so. The pick in my background is very, I think so, odd. So how I fix that's
The background is okay now.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then actually I can see it's a
No, for you it will look like that. For the rest of them, it will be fine.
okay.
Okay, so I think we are good to start. We have about 50 participants, which I can see were logged in. Uh, and I think some more will join in. But I'll start today's session. Good morning, everybody. I would like to welcome you all, which is being conducted by SolutionBuggy. And today we're talking about EPR registration.
Guru, I'm unable to hear you.
Even me actually.
Yeah, even I'm not able to hear you. The participants, na?
We are India's largest platform for the MSME sector, and have about 10,000 experts on the platform. We have completed about 3,000 plus projects across India over the last 6 years. When we say projects, it could be anything from a one-day consulting assignment in lean management or training programs, and all the way to setting up of industries, uh, right from concept to commercialization stage. It includes the basic market research, product identification, detailed project report, machinery procurement, plant setup, commissioning, supply chain management, sales and marketing, etc. Currently, we are doing a lot of projects in the renewable energy and recycling sector, where we help the entrepreneur or the existing industry either to set up the recycling plant or to get their EPR registrations completed. Quick background on myself: I am Guru Prasad Bangle, director at SolutionBuggy. I have 20 plus years of experience in consulting. I am a BE and an MBA from IIM Bangalore. My last startup I have sold successfully to Magic Bricks in 2016. The reason for today's webinar is basically to give an understanding of how this new EPR regulation is going to affect anybody and everybody who is using plastic and related components in their packaging, and what are the steps they have to take to overcome this. Uh, Over the next 90 minutes, I have a set of stellar speakers who will be talking more on this. Firstly, I would like to introduce Mr. Abhishek Garg from AA Garg and Co. He is a chartered accountant and has extensive knowledge in the EPR domain, and is an established name in the industry for managing EPR compliances. He has worked previously in Morgan Stanley and Unilever. And A2G today is a prominent assurance and advisory firm which provides services to Indian as well as MNCs. And he's working in India, across India, and as well as a few Southeast Asian countries. We welcome you, Mr. Abhishek.
Thank you, Guru Prasad, and thanks a lot for giving us the this this stage to talk about the EPR with your relevant members and the medium and small sectors
Sure.
manufacturers.
Sure.
So
Next.
without yeah.
Yeah, next I'll just finish the introduction, and then maybe I'll leave the stage open to you.
Sure.
Next, I have Mr. Sukhdeep Singh, who is the Director Compliance at Ekatvam Plastic Recycling Services. Ekatvam has been in existence since 2017, and they have worked with multiple brands like Tata Group, Vodafone, Kotak, and a lot more. Apart from a good understanding in EPR, he has very good ground experience in how the recycling market works, and where the good raw materials are available. What are the good cost structures that you can look at for setting up a commercially viable recycling plant? We welcome you, Mr. Subjeet.
Yeah, hi Guru Prasad. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure, and I hope we will add value to the entire people on this particular platform, and take it to the next level. Also solve all the queries and the doubts that each
Right.
one of the members might have. Thank you.
Definitely, definitely. Finally, I have Mr. Raghavendra Singh, who is a BTech and an MBA and a director at Aleph India, which is a consulting firm offering product certification, testing, training, regulatory compliances, and assessment work like ISI certification services, NABL accreditation, TEC certification, WPC license, and many more. As of now, there are a lot of products and almost 35 compliances that Aleph India Group caters to. Not only in India, they have offices in China, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam, and other foreign markets as well. We welcome you, Mr. Raghavendra.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I think I would now call upon Mr. Abhishek. Mr. Abhishek Garg, and he will walk us through his understanding of EPR and what it holds for an entrepreneur or for an existing industry. Over to you, Mr. Abhishek.
Thank you, Mr. Guru, and thanks everybody for taking out to time today to attend this session on the EPR and on this webinar. So without wasting further time, I will directly jump to the topic and start taking you through. So Can you move to the next slide? So before getting into the EPR registration, a little bit background about what is EPR and how it got originated and what is the current status in India. So in this page you can see a picture of Mr. Thomas Lindquist. He is a Swedish guy, and he was the person who coined the term extended producer responsibility in 1990, and that is what he presented to Swedish government. So what he spoke about, what he meant by saying extended producer responsibility, what he said is that the companies, the producers, the brand owners who uses products or packaging introduced into the market, they are also to be made responsible for ensuring the waste generated by their products into the market should be made responsible. That is where he spoke about cradle to grave approach, that it's not the only company are not only supposed to take care of the business, it's also to take care of the impact that make into the environment by end of life of those products. So once the products are utilized and used by the consumer, it is also the responsibility after the end of life of those products to the companies to pick it back and ensure sustainable recycling, ensure sustainable environmental disposal of those waste. To give you a very simple example, so let's say there is a company who is selling chips in a packet of plastic and introducing into the market. Before EPR, there was no such compliance that whatever plastic are you introducing into the market, you need to collect it back and sustainably dispose it off. But post EPR, they are supposed to. And that is where the benefit of EPR, which brings to the table or brings to the overall environment, is that there's a waste reduction. There is emphasis and focus on recovery of this plastic packaging waste or plastic waste created by the usage of these companies. It also encourages recycling and reuse. And on top of that, today companies and you and a lot of days in daily circumstances, situations, you would be coming around some sustainable type of packaging like reusable packaging. Recently Tata Starbucks has came up with a reusable cup for their coffee disposal. So those kind of things you will start seeing. So in very simple words, what is EPR? So in the field of waste management, it is a policy based strategy used by the governments and used by the regulators to through the polluter pays principle, wherein they make the producers, the brand owners, the manufacturers responsible for the waste generated by their products, and they are responsible to ensure that after the end of life, after the product is used, the waste created by those products or packaging are sustainably managed and disposed of. Now, this is what the EPR global phenomena I spoke about. So, in 1990s, were adopted by Sweden. Slowly, gradually, it moved to West, where in UK and some European countries adopted it. Today, it is a very common phenomena, and I was just telling Mr. Guru that in couple of years, by 2025, you will hear that 180 countries had adopted this EPR as a policy. So, it's going to be a global phenomena. Now, coming back, what is EPR in India? So today in India, there are four streams which are applicable for EPR. One is plastic waste, one is electronic waste, one is waste tires, one is battery waste, and there is one more on formulation which is used oil. I'll not get into all of those. This is just a one picture point of view for everybody to understand how EPR is growing in India. I'll focus on the plastic waste today, and please move to the next slide. Yeah. So plastic waste, the EPR under plastic waste, it is a rule which is called the Plastic Waste Management Rules, which is under the Environment Protection Act released by Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. So this is the overall structure. Now the EPR and this particular rule was introduced in 2016, and which over or which or superseded the earlier 2011 rule of plastic waste management. However, this is the final bible which governs the EPR today, and it was officially released in 2016. There was a slight amendment happened in 2018, and during this 21 till 21 there had been slight amendment, and till 2016 to 2021 it was all compliances was done offline mechanism, and there was very little clarity as to how to do it, and it was a very nascent stage. And just to give you a number, there was only 350 producers or owners or the recyclers are registered at that point of a time. In 2022, there was a major significant event happened, where in February there was a final EPR guidelines was issued by the ministry, which spoke about what will be the compliances, what it gave clarity, who has to do what. And subsequent to that, the government and the Central Pollution Control Board, which is the apex regulator who regulates and governs this EPR in India, came out with the online portal and came out with the SOP after the guidelines were introduced. And believe me, since then today, it has been a massive change in the industry, because the whole of EPR compliances today is managed through the online portal of government. There is significant amount of processes and SOP which has been developed by government. And just to give you a point of view, that today there is more than 15,000 producer, importers, and brand owner registered under this EPR regulation. And it's a very important regulation, because if you want to do business, if you want to use plastic packaging up to a certain limit, then you need to register to ensure you can do business, which I'll take you through in the next slide. So this is just a evolution of the rule which has happened from 2016 to 2023. And believe me, still daily there has been a lot of changes which is happening under the rule. So yeah, so we have been working since the start in terms of the rule, but yes, this is the evolution. Please move to the next slide. Now, this one pager summary speak about the overall what are the things covered under to the PWM rules, and what who are obligated, and what are the obligation, and XYZ. Just to give you a very important point, that this plastic waste management rules and the EPR is only and only for plastic packaging. There is a huge difference between packaging items of made of plastic, and there is a huge difference between plastic items made of plastics. So for example, if you tell me the plastic toys, yes, they are not obligated under EPR. Only and only plastic packaging are obligated under EPR. Now, who are the obligated entities under the EPR? Who are the companies who are obligated to observe and follow these compliances? The first and foremost is producers of plastic packaging. The companies, the manufacturers, or the converters, or the who uses plastic packaging, makes the plastic packaging involved in this value chain of converting the plastic packaging, are called the producers under this regulation. Who are importers? So any company who imports any product with plastic packaging or only plastic packaging will have to register as an importer. Believe me, it has become a very important significant direction, wherein more than 95% plus consignments of imports which you see has some or way other, they have traces of plastic being used in those consignments. And believe me, if those even a single traces of plastic packaging are seen by the custom authority at the port, they are asking for the importer registration. So this becomes an inevitable registration for the companies who are involved in imports, to ensure their consignment doesn't get delayed. Third is a very important entity, which is brand owners, who uses this plastic packaging to pack its product and introduce into the market with their registered brand name and trademark. And last comes is the plastic waste processors, or the companies who are into the processing of plastic waste, recycling, co-processing. There are multiple ways. So today, how the plastic waste are being sustainably disposed, there are 5 6 mechanism, and still new mechanism are getting developed. So recycler is one mechanism, co-processing in cement plants is another mechanism, waste to energy is another mechanism. It can also be used in road construction and waste to oil. So these all of these entities are called as plastic waste processors, and they do not have the EPR target, but they are a very important entity under this rule, under the EPR rule, who ensures the disposal of this plastic waste in environmentally sound manner. Now, producers, I'm assuming the most of the attendees here are from the producers background. And so for your information, there is no exemption has been given on the basis of being micro small for the producers, but for the brand owner there is an exemption. If the brand owner is a micro or small, which is turnover is below 50 crores, they are not supposed to register, but the similar exemption is not given to producers. So this is important. Further, the producers, importers, brand owners are not allowed to deal with unregistered entities, and they are not allowed to do business without registration, as I mentioned in the earlier slide. Further, when we spoke about obligation in EPR target, I'll come to the next box where you see EPR target. But before going there, I need to explain a very important thing from the producer's point of view. Here is the producers who produces the plastic packaging and supply those plastic packaging to brand owners. The quantum of plastic packaging which you have sold to these brand owners will not fall under the obligation of the producers. It will be transferred to the obligation of the brand owners, because those are the company who are ultimately introducing those product into the market. But mind you, what I'm saying is registered brand owners. If you are selling and dealing with registered brand owners who are registered under EPR, then the obligation will not be yours, it will be theirs. But if you're not working with registered brand owners, and you are selling to unregistered people, then the obligation might fall onto you. Now, what is
So
the
what you
obligation?
are clarifying here is, say, a small, food processor who is having a turnover less than 50 crores. If you are supplying plastic packaging material to him,
Yeah.
then it falls under your responsibility.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what is the obligation and what is the EPR obligation quantum? To make it very clear and simple, let's say I'm a company and I'm selling in the business of selling chips in a plastic packaging. So I sold 1,000 tons of chips. But to sell those 1,000 tons of chips, I use 100 tons of plastic packaging. My obligation is plastic packaging, not the 1,000 tons of product. Now, whenever government has given a formula to derive how your target will be assessed, they are given a formula in which basis last 2 financial years plastic consumption by the company, average quantum will be calculated as your EPR target. Now, in this EPR target, there are two types of ways they have included. One is pre-consumer, another is post-consumer. Post-consumer is plain and simple. As I am a company, I'm selling this chips packet to the market. After my consumer used it, the waste generated is post-consumer. But to make this chips packet in my unit, I have generated certain plastic waste while packing those products. Those are called pre-consumer. So both of these kind of plastic waste or total plastic consumption, packaging consumption, added together for last 2 years give you the target. But what government did was beautiful. Once they came up with the guidelines, they also said ki we will take a phased wise obligation of EPR target. So let's say in 21-22, after 2 years calculation, my 100% consumption coming to be 100 tons of plastic packaging, then my EPR target will be 25 tons, because the 25% slab rate is there. In 22-23 it is 70%, and going in 23-24 100%. So this is how the target is calculated. One important thing to note, the target EPR target is brand and geography neutral. When I say brand, let's say I am selling chips again with a brand of A to G and whatever, and that I do not need to pick up the same plastic packaging which I have introduced. It is the equivalent quantum of the category of plastic which you are introducing that needs to be picked up and sustainably recycled. And when I say geography neutral, it means you do not need, if you are selling in Maharashtra your product, then you do not need to pick up it from Maharashtra only. That's your choice. But government doesn't ask you to do it from Maharashtra, which is geography neutral. We spoke about the type of entity, EPR target, and very important, which are the types of plastic packaging. And I'm again emphasizing on plastic packaging, because it's not products, it's plastic packaging which is obligated. So there are 4 categories of plastic packaging which are obligated under the rule. One is category 1, rigid plastic packaging, which are rigid in nature. For example, shampoo bottles, for example, drums, for example, the Bisleri, water bottle, beverages bottle, or made up of plastic packaging, rigid plastic packaging. Category 2, flexible plastic packaging, any plastic packaging which you see in a form of a flexible in nature. Either it is made of a mono layer, or either it is made up of a two multiple layers of plastic only plastic layers, then it is category 2 plastic packaging. And category 3 plastic packaging, it is a plastic packaging made up of the plastic layer as well as non-plastic layer. One of the very quick example is beverage cartons, or I would say tetra packs, the fruity packs, which we see is mostly is a paper. However, there is a plastic element into it. That is why it holds the liquid for a longer duration, which cannot happen only for a paper. And category 4 is a compostable plastic packaging, which is, so all the plastic packaging I spoke to you about are made from the petro based polymer or chemicals, while as compostable, the it is not made of a petro base, it is made of a non petro based polymer. For example, let's say food starch, corn starch. So those are the base materials for creating the compostable packaging. Guys, one important note for everybody here: compostable packaging and biodegradable are two different things. And in India, there is zero biodegradable approved plastic which is available. There is no approved CPCB as per government definition biodegradable available. No, zero. Only compostable is available. But in the country, people are using it cross very, like some are saying compostable and biodegradable. Now I see there is a blank. There is some technical issue over here, but I remember what we needed to say here, that the one and first and most important thing is getting ourselves online registered and then moving ahead with the regular compliances. So I will take you through the online registration in basic, and I'll explain. I'll show you certain screenshot of the systems. Second is, it doesn't stop the APR. It doesn't stop only at, by getting yourself registered, fulfilling your target, but there are a lot of other compliances which you have to observe, and there is a lot of penalties also being put into the guidelines, which is termed as environmental compensation. So once you get registered, registration itself is a big process. Then you have to ensure, once you're registered, going ahead, give the transaction details online on a regular basis. For example, if you are a producer of plastic packaging and selling to some brands, and then you have to give the invoice and details of those transaction on the portal itself of government. You have to ensure that you are doing marking labeling, which is a mandate compliance if you are registered, because if once you are registered, you have to print your number on the plastic packaging which you are printing or producing. Either producer number should be there, or the brand owner, whomsoever is registered, we can choose to pick up anyone. And there is a there is a list, there is a thickness compliance, that the minimum thickness compliance should be adhered by the producers and the brand owners. And there are additional banning which has been introduced under through this law, which is prohibited single use plastics, which is 16 specified items which are banned. And yeah, there is additional things which are yet to come in coming years, which is FY 24-25 and etc. So this is one page summary of PWM. It's a big one. We have tried our best to cover the key things under this rule in one page. But moving on, please go to the next. So this is the website, and this is the portal, and believe me, it's a very powerful portal. There are a lot of data and information, and this is one national portal or database wherein registration, ongoing compliances, filing, fulfillment, and all those things are taken care of. One thing I missed is terms of, I spoke about the EPR target, but government has also told you how to fulfill your EPR target. So what government says, very plain, simple, clear thing, that your fulfill, let's say you have 100 tons of EPR target. I will only consider your fulfillment being done when you give me online EPR certificate from the registered plastic waste processor through the government portal itself. So government has, in the same portal, government registers and monitors the plastic waste processors, and the credit, this plastic waste processor issues the credit through this portal itself. And if they issue this credit and if they give it to you and then you set it off, then your target will be done and complete. This is what the compliance angle holds. There are a lot detail into it, but this is one major portal which governs the overall EPR compliances under plastic waste management rules. Before going inside the portal, I would want to take you through in terms of what are the things required in summarized manner. Then we'll show you, okay, what are the things required where. But over here in this page, you can see there is on the right side, top right side, you can see register and sign in. So if you are doing it for the first time, then you have to click register, and the next steps will go ahead. And on the top, you can see, if you are a producer, importer, or brand owner, you have to select as a PIBO. If you are a PWP, you have to select as a PWP, and if you are a ULB, which is urban local body, you have to select, but it is not relevant for the audience here. Please move to the next.
Abhishek, about 10 minutes more.
Sure. I'll quickly take it up. So I'll skip this slide, but very important slide is this, the thing highlighted in yellow, which is the eligible quantity or the EPR target for the producers equals to A plus B minus C. A is post consumer, B is pre consumer, minus C is the sales made to registered brand owners, and that's where we have to be focusing. So producer of plastic, when in nutshell, should not get more liability if they are working with the registered brand owners, and that obligation will move to the brand owners. Please move to the next. Yeah. So there is 6 steps in which you have to file your registration form. The first and foremost, create your login. Second is there is a part A, B, C, D, E, and there is a part wise details they have asked. So in part A, they are asking you the details of the entity, who is the authorized person, what is your production capacity, what kind of products you are producing, what is the total plastic packaging you are producing capacity. Give us your process flow diagram as a producer, what you are producing, and your status of compliance related to thickness and XYZ. In part B, they are going to ask you your unit wise consent to operate documents. In part C, they will be asking you your state wise how much quantum you have introduced or sold into the market. And then in 8A, B, C, D, in part C, you will have to give details from whom you have purchased those raw materials of plastic, and to whom you have sold those plastic packaging, to the brand owners and other producers. And all of these detail need to be given at the invoice level for the section 8. In part D, the producers will also have to give the plot area of the facility, the GPS location of the facility, upload geotag pictures, plant and machinery details, production details, power load of the plant, and disaster management plan. And in part E, there are certain additional things needs to be given, and additionally a covering letter, signature, and a self declaration needs to be given for filing. Now, one important thing for producers, the registration needs to happen at the unit level. It is not a combined registration for all unit at one place. If you have 5 units, there will be 5 login registration needs to be maintained. But however, if you are operating in more than 2 states, if you have units in more than 2 states, your registration will be approved by the Central Pollution Control Board, but your registration filing will needs to be done at the state level, at the plant level. So those are the details which are available. Moving ahead. So in the same fashion, there are a list of documents are being asked. During the login credential, they do not ask document, they ask information like your company name, your company CIN, PAN, what is the number of the PAN, mobile number, who is the authorized person, their designation at XYZ, etc. And part A, they start asking you the PDF copy of PAN, SIN of the company authorized person. If in case you were previously registered, give us the details of registrations, details. So all those details and the documents as the part wise, which I showed you in the previous slide, are asked here. Please move on. Move to the next. Yeah. So this is the first step wherein if you register, this is the page which opens for creating your login, in which bare minimum details like company name, address, PAN number, SIN number, all those details are being asked of even for the authorized person. Please move to next. And once you have created your login, the auto fetch data can be pulled here, and then you have to start putting your documents here, like the GST, the PAN document, the PAN card, the GST certificate. Go ahead. Similarly, all those details needs to be fed what I told you for the part A, B, C, D, E. Go ahead. Yeah, this is part B, wherein you have to give your consent. In the part 7, then you have to give your state-wise details of plastic packaging pre and post consumer, category-wise. Go ahead. And this is the detail of transaction you will have to give from where you have purchased and to who you have sold. Go ahead. This is the detail of 16 data points. The most complicated point in the registration is giving the transaction details, wherein you have to give details of each invoices of transaction with the 16 data points, and also will have to give you you will have to give the invoice copy. So that's a complicated piece which adds to the complication of registration. Please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. Let's skip this. And this is the last page wherein you will have to give the geolocation, geotag pictures, your payload capacity, all those details of the facility with the disaster management plan. Please go ahead. And the last page wherein you have to update your declaration in XYZ, etc. But last thing remain is the paying for the registration application. So if your plastic waste generation is around up to 1,000 tons, your application fee will be 10,000 rupees. If your plastic waste generation is 1,000 to 10,000, your fees will be 20,000, and if it is more than 10,000, it will be 50,000 rupees. Please go ahead. And there is a digital payment mechanism available. And yeah, so once you are registered under the EPR, then still there are additional compliances, as I said, in which you have to keep on reporting for the ongoing transactions. You have to ensure that EPR target is, you have a plan of action of procuring certificate to fulfill your EPR target or through the online credit, and filing annual report for FY 22-23 or 23-24 whenever you are getting registered. If you are registered for FY 22-23, the annual report filing date is 31st October, which is moved and stretched for this year. But going ahead for FY 23-24, the regular timeline to file annual filing is 30th June. And yes, as I spoke about marking, labeling, and thickness and prohibited SOP, but there are additional things which is going to come very soon, which is the circularity obligation, and CPCB is also going to audit you through the impaneled third party auditors about the data, about the things which you have disclosed on the registration. Please move. Guru, I hope have couple of minutes. I'll skip this slide for now. Please move. So there's a list of environmental compliances they have given, in which a basic rate is, if you are not able to fulfill your compliances, the fine is 5,000 rupees per ton, or rupees 5 per kg. So if I have a 100 ton CPR target, I'm not able to fulfill, then I will have to pay 5,000 rupees per ton as a fine to environmental compensation. But this fine is not is like that if you have paid this money, then your obligation is absolved. No, it means you have paid it to the government as a deposit for some time, wherein if you still fulfill your obligation, then they will refund back certain amount of those money which you have paid as rupees 5,000 within next 3 years. But if you're not able to fulfill in within next 3 years, then they will forfeit all the money and they'll charge you additional penalties. But there's a list, there's a 100-page guidelines on EPR, environmental compensation and penalties. It also talks about closure of unit and seizure of products. So it's a very important and critical compliances under the law. Go ahead.
Abhishek, about 2 minutes more.
Sure. Please move. So who we are? So we are a consulting and assurance firm. We are specifically practicing under 4 domains, which is extended EPR, extended producer responsibility, ESG, corporate finance, and tech-enabled solutions. So we are working with multiple sectors today, and 120 plus companies we are working with, in which we are majorly working with 30 plus 500 Fortune 500 companies. Please move ahead. We are providing our services under 3 major pillars, which is advisory, verification, validation, and compliance support services for plastic, e-waste, waste, and battery tire. Please move on next. And for if you need additional understanding about going deep into the portal, how to file for registration, we are conducting a free training session this Friday. You can very well come and join yourself for understanding in detail. But we have also created a very unique product of EPR Assist. You can connect with us and we can help you in that. So thank you very much. I hope I was able to add some value in terms of how EPR registration to be conducted.
Sure,
Thank
sure. Thanks, Abhishek. Sorry, there is some issue with my video, so I'm not able to, activate my video. Thanks, Abhishek, for a wonderful, session. I would now, we definitely have some questions, but I'll keep the questions to the end. I'll call upon Mr. Sukhjeet Singh to showcase his expertise in EPR. Mr. Sukhjeet, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Guru.
Yeah.
Can we have this slide, please?
Yeah, we have your presentation pulled up.
So, a very good morning to everybody. I'm Subjit from Ekatvam Plastic Recycling Services. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the topics that we are going to cover today are on four broad categories. One is understanding of the EPR framework. To a very large extent, that has been covered by Abhishek in the previous presentation, but we will still go through it at a high level, macro level. Then what are the implementation models? Now, Government of India has given an EPR target, talks about EPR, but how do we implement, how do we complete the target? So the point number 2 talks about the implementation model. Point number 3 talks about the reporting and the documentation. Since we are dealing with the Government of India and its statutory authorities, everything is on black and white in paper. So what are those particular documentation that comes into the picture is covered under point 3, and point 4 is about the collection and how the recycling mechanics happen and how this is linked to the EPR and to the overall framework. Yeah, next slide. Next. So, going by the definition of Central Pollution Control Board, they have given a very huge definition. And in the first part of the slide, if you see, I've underlined the keywords: policy principle, by extending the responsibilities, entire life cycle of the product, especially the tayback, recycling, and final disposal of the product. So, in essence, what the government is trying to say, or in simple words as written down in the second paragraph, is that the producers are required to provide financial incentive or in other words, pay money to the collection systems, processing facilities, recycling industries to collect, process plastic waste to meet the targets set out by the government. So to further break it down, if you are using plastic, you are producing plastic, you are importing goods, plastic is coming, you have to pay an X amount to complete your target. That X amount will go towards cleaning up of the plastic as per your sales data in whichever state that you are doing. Next slide, please. So the coverage of this a particular EPR framework is on the producers, as what it has already been talked about, producers of plastic, importers. Now, many importers have got a resistance in terms of saying that why should we be registering ourselves on the CPCB portal. However, what everybody needs to understand is that if any product that you are importing into India, whether it is engineering goods, whether it is a spare part, whether it is computers, anything, even food items, bicycle, everything comes wrapped in plastic. Now, because you have imported your goods into India, there is a plastic which has come from the other countries into India. And then you will take out that plastic, you will put your brand on it, and you'll sell it in the market. So government wants to track the quantity of plastic coming into India, and hence all importers mandatorily, irrespective whether they are into food or non-food grade, are required to register themselves. If they do not register, their import consignments are being stopped as per a standing order issued by the Central Pollution Control Board. And then finally, the brand owners. So the brand owners have to do it because that's they are making profits and they are selling their products into the various states, and hence cleanup of plastic waste in each state or multiple state is required. So the other definition that the government of India has given for PIBOs, that is the producer, importers, and brand owners, is if you have your operations in India that uses plastic packaging as part of your operation. Now, operation means anything, but you use plastic packaging, whether you use bubble wrap, shrink wrap, you use single layer, you use multi-layer as part of your operation, irrespective of the turnover or the scale, you will fall under the obligation of EPR. So somewhere at a prime minister's level, if the PM of India wants to know what is the consumption of plastic, that one figure, and this is how all the figures will emanate from various sources. Next slide, please. The responsibilities of the producers, importers, and the brand owners. There are multiple steps, but the one which is highlighted in yellow, provide proof of certificates, plastic credits. This is the crux. So whatever activity that anybody or each one of us do, we need to provide proof or evidence of the certificate, plastic credits. And the next point, if you see, the PIBOs can engage with WMA, waste management agencies, to fulfill their targets. But the reporting and responsibility is still with the PIBOs. You cannot outsource or you cannot transfer your liability or your responsibility. So you can outsource your activity, but you are still responsible as far as the Central Pollution Control Board or the Government of India is concerned. Next slide. So this is the link which Abhishek has already shown. If you just click on the link, I want to highlight a few points in that particular hyperlink. It will take us to the portal of the Pollution Control Board, EPR Plastic Portal. It will open into a separate tab. Yes. Now, if you critically look at on the green ribbon, there is this home plastic waste management rules. Now, this is a portal which is accessible to everybody. Now, if somebody who wants, from an academic perspective, wants to get into the details, the rules are there on the green ribbon, which is plastic waste management rules. Then there is a drop down about EPR. There is a dashboard, FAQ, SOPs, important documents, EPR capacity building. So somewhere what the Government of India is trying to do is to create transparency. If somebody tells you something, you can always come back to this particular portal, look at the rules and regulations, look at the important documents, look at the dashboards. The dashboards have the name of the companies which have been approved, whether you are an importer, you are a brand owner, or you are a producer with your capacity. Everything is there available. We are just at the main page. We are not going to deep dive, but at your personal level, it is advisable that each one of you should visit this portal, take a macro level understanding, and then get on with the EPR activity. Coming back to the slide. Yes. So this is a snapshot that I have taken out from that particular portal. This is the summary of the applications and the various stages of the applications of the producers, importers, and brand owner. If you look at the first column, it is the brand owner, 2149, the blue ribbon at the bottom. 2149 is the count of brand owners that are there on the portal. So 62 have put in their application, 154 is under scrutiny, 98 have got rejected, and 1800 odd figure are the brand owners whose application has been approved. So similarly for the producers of plastic and for the importers, if you see the count of importers is more than your count of producers and then the brand owners. So this is a evolving, and this figures will only keep on increasing as the awareness level goes up. Everybody needs to come on to this particular portal. If you're not on this particular portal, doing business in the Indian scenario will be difficult, because as a manufacturing unit, your licenses, your consent to operate, consent to establish, all these renewals will take a hit in the due course. Next slide, please. The second point we're going to talk about is the implementation models. Next slide. So Central Pollution Control Board has divided plastic. Plastic we consider in layman's language as just another piece of plastic, but it has the Central Pollution Board has divided into 4 categories. If you read the yellow parts, the category 1 is the rigid, category 2 is flexible, category 3 is multi-layered, category 4 is compostable. Now, why these categories are made? Basically because somewhere this needs to get recycled, and if it has to get recycled, then you need to have your plastic waste sorted, segregated, and sent to the respective machines. So it's like a engine. We can say a petrol or a diesel engine. We cannot mix the two. Similarly, in rigid plastic, the process is different for recycling. In a flexible plastic, the process to recycle a flexible plastic is different. If you come to multi-layered plastic, it cannot be recycled. It gets into end of life kind of an activity. End of life means it goes to a cement factory, it goes to a waste to energy plant where it is burned. So each category is different. Compostable becomes a compost. So that is why these categories have been made. Next slide. Slide, please. Yeah. So how is plastic waste managed or processed? When we generally hear the word recycling, plastic matlab recycling. That is not the way it is done. Uh, all the plastic waste processors, your one is your producers of plastic, your importers of goods, and your brand owners. On the right hand side would be your plastic waste processors. So a plastic is then recycled, or it is managed in 5 different ways. One is recycling, second is waste to energy plant where it is burnt, in layman's language. Co-processing is it is mixed with coal and burnt in furnaces. Waste to oil is the pyrolysis where plastic is converted into diesel, and then again it is sold through various channels, and then the industrial composting. So these are the 5 different players, 5 different factories which are working at a ground level where the plastic waste is getting processed or managed. Next slide. Yeah, this is at a very holistic level, given you a breakup of the plastic waste processors at a state level. So people will say that we do not know who are the recyclers, where they are. So somewhere if you go into the portal, this data is available. It tells you which are the state-wise processors. If you look at Andhra Pradesh, in the yellow column it is 55. There is a split of 55. The 5 categories that I showed you: waste to oil, cement factory, recycling, pyrolysis, compostable. The 55 will be categorized, divided into these 5 categories. Similarly, is the breakup for all the states and the union territories. This is the objective of showing this, is to make you aware that the portal has data. You need to be aware if you are in a specific state, which are the recyclers approved by Central Pollution Control Board. I'm using the word approved. Why using the word approved? Because there are many recyclers who are sitting in shanties or working illegally, but they are doing recycling. How do we differentiate? The first level of differentiation is whether they have got the State Pollution Control Board consent to establish and consent to operate. That is basic level 1. Then level 2 is whether that entity is registered on the Central Pollution Control Board. The answer is always yes or no. If it is yes, ask them to show the certificate and then only engage with those particular guys. So this particular portal will give you the name, address, email ID, location, everything from a transparency perspective. Next slide. So this is the plastic waste processor summary on the portal. On the right hand side, if you look at the blue box, it is the figure is 2,497 legal entities have applied on the Central Pollution Control Board. So the previous slide which I showed you where the yellow column is, it works out to 2,497. And then the split up is there. Next slide. Coming to the reporting and the documentation. Next. So somewhere, if you see from a reporting and a documentation perspective, all your PIBOs, point number 1, and plastic waste processors have to come onto the CPCB portal. Today, as on date or prior to 2016, everybody was working in isolation. Producers, importers, brands were not speaking to the waste guys and vice versa, working in silos. Government has formalized everything, created a portal, and both the start of the chain and the end of the chain, they are made to come on to the CPCB portal, the portal which has been shown to you. The point number 2 is the waste processors, the plastic waste processors who collect plastic waste, process and sell the granules. So this is one of the definitions of plastic waste processors. In this activity, the CPCB validates the PWP transactions. Now, a plastic waste guy can say, I do recycling, but how many tons has he done? Is he actually doing the recycling or not doing the recycling? What is the capacity of that particular plant? Is he giving a certificate equal to the capacity of the plant or giving excess credit, which is not legitimate? So somewhere, previous slide, please, previous slide. Yeah, just stay here. So somewhere all the transactions are being monitored by CPCB through the GSTN number. The plastic waste processor needs to upload their sales invoice onto the CPCB portal. Upon validation, they give them the e-credits, which is the electronic credits. And then the plastic waste processors can transfer the credit through the portal directly into the account of the producer, importers, of the brand owners. If somebody comes and tell you that we will do an offline transaction, we will do it on our letterhead, I will give you a letter in writing that I've recycled so much of your plastic, it is irrelevant. Do not deal with those particular individuals, because CPCB will not accept the letterhead. Everything has to be done in the portal, and you need to have electronic credit. This is the basic funda. Next slide, please. So the list of plastic waste processors is given out here in the portal. This is a snapshot taken. It also tells you category wise. These are all hyperlinks. If you drill down, the names are given, the capacities are given, how much tonnage certificate they have already issued, and what is pending with them. So there is a very clear-cut tracking mechanism. A recycler or a waste to energy plant or a pyrolysis plant or a co-processing cement factory cannot issue a credit certificate more than its installed capacity. That is the crux in this particular thing. And the transparency is there. You know what is your target, and if you are looking at purchasing a e-credit, you know where you need to go, to whom you need to meet, and you can take the particular credit. Next slide. Transparency is the key out here. to summarize, credit has to be taken only through the CPCB EPR portal. Offline credit given on letterhead is not valid. It is void. Please check the EPR portal before you finalize your transaction. In case if you think all this is too much complication and it dilutes your focus on from your core competency of a business, then you should be taking the support of the experts who are working in this plastic waste management field. Next slide, please. Coming to the point number 4, collection and recycling mechanics. Next slide. So there are in this plastic waste management, in the space of waste management, there are 3 main players: the producers, importers, brand owners. That is the category 1. The middle guys are the waste management agencies, and third are the plastic waste processors. Now PIBOs can go directly to PWPs or can use the waste management agencies, outsource their activities and ask these waste management agencies to collaborate with PWP and get the e-certificate. So PWP will push the e-certificate directly into the PIBO's account. So PIBOs are registering on the portal, PWPs are registering on the portal, ground level activity executed by the waste management agencies. Next slide, please. So what is the role of the waste management agencies? They become your go-to organization as they will offer you end-to-end services. It's a bridge. They have the deep domain knowledge because they run material recovery facility centers. That means the municipality truck which picks up your waste from your residential societies, somewhere it takes it to a location where the MRF center, material recovery facility, is there where people work, and they will segregate that dry waste, the wet waste. Dry waste is further segregated into plastic, paper, rubber, cloth, and then work in this particular fashion. From that particular waste center, RDF, which is a fuel for the cement factories, is supplied. So it's a single window pan-India service, and the waste management agencies will cover all the 3 broad categories, and they also support in annual filing and the renewal processes. Next slide. This now what we offer as an organization to our customers. Next slide. So we offer EPR registration. As a producer, you are focused more on your core competency. This is a very tedious process. So we will do the registration activity and then the compliance. We become the WMA in this particular case and ask the respective PWPs or the plastic waste processors to push the e-credit into your account. We also work on the bulk pickup of industrial plastic waste. The factory scrap that gets generated today, that is not being monitored, but somewhere the regional office of the pollution control board, the local municipalities are all coming back and asking, in your consent to operate, show us the evidence how you have disposed of your plastic waste. That is where the traceability, auditability comes into the picture, and we help the compliance on that particular activity. We also work on the CSR activities. If a company wants to do something in the plastic waste management space, we work in that space also. And we supply municipal solid waste, that is from the MRF centers, the fuel to the cement factories. Next slide. So these are our credentials, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sukhvinder. So I think it was a very informative session, dwelling on EPR and who can qualify and who does not qualify. And although in general parlance we might think that any person who is recycling might qualify, but obviously you need to do some paperwork before you can be qualified. With that, I would like to call upon Mr. Raghvendra Singh uh, to share his knowledge and also walk us through what he feels is lacking in the EPR and what a company needs to take care of. Over to you, Mr. Ravi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you, Guru Prasad ji. Okay, and thank you, Abhishek ji and Sajit ji, for a very valuable information. Actually, you both are covered lots of actually very important topics, and here actually I'm just discussing a basic point because the registration related and you know, after the registrations compliances you need it already discussed about Vijay ji and Subjit ji. So these points may not be used in during the registrations and you know during the compliance part, but these are the basic points you all should have to know as a importers, manufacturers, or one of the responsible consumer too. So these are the basic points. This is the agenda, benefit and challenges of EPR, addressing challenges and overcome barriers. EPR implement during the EPR implementation. We will also discuss about success stories and positive impact of EPRs on industries and communities. Best practice and the case studies we will also discuss in this PPT. These are the some points. So we will actually discuss in this PPT. Next, please. Yes, next. So the important points, basic actually benefits of EPR and some challenges under the EPR. So if we talk about the benefits, so there may be a three type of benefits after the EPR. Actually, extended producer responsibility is a policy approach. Three, that hold producers responsible for the entire life cycle of their products, including the post-consumer stage. By implementing EPR programs, governments and industries aim to achieve environmental and the social and the economic benefits. That's why these three benefits are very important. Let's actually discuss about the benefits. Next, please. Yes, if we talk about the environmental benefits, there is a three kind of environmental benefits: waste reductions, increased recycling rate because of the EPR, and the hazardous substance management. So these are the basic environmental benefits. These are very important. If we talk about the waste reductions, then EPR encourages the producer to design products that are more durable, reusable, or recyclable. So that's a very important benefit. And the second one, increase the recycling rate. So EPR program often establishes collection and recycling system for specific products. This leads to a higher recycling rate as the producers take responsibility for managing their product at end of the life of the products. Yes. And third one, previous slide, please. Previous slide. We are discussing about the environmental benefit. Previous, yeah. Hazardous substance management. So how environmentally benefits of hazardous substance benefit? Actually, EPR can help control the presence of hazardous substance in products. As a producers, and it's actually when we reuse or when we use you know the plastic or any used products, then we can also check for the hazardous substance. So hazardous substance always actually very dangerous for the environmental. So that also one of the benefits. And second one are social benefit. Of course, if we see job creation, because EPR has a certain the mechanism like recycling of the products, and actually it required a separate system for reusable, and so that create a job. And public awareness and engagement, that's also a very good, because if the legislation provide a particular law and particular kind of guidelines, then of course the public also aware of that actually responsibility to the the environmentally sound, and they recycle the products. And of course, when they recycle the products, if they contribute their own in our EPR, then the health and safety also improve. Yes, next please. And third, economic benefit. In the economic benefits, actually cost saving, actually resource conservation, and market innovation and competitiveness. So these are also economic benefit. Due to our EPR, we use the products, so that use that's also a cost saving. Overall, extended producer responsibility offers a comprehensive framework to address environmental challenges, promote sustainable practice, engaging stakeholders, and create a more circular and sustainable economy. Yes. Yes, please. Okay. So, addressing challenges and overcome barriers in the EPR implementation, actually, while actually extended producer responsibility has numerous benefits, its implementation can face challenges and barriers. Overcome these obstacles is actually circular the successfully adoption and effectiveness of the EPR programs. Here are some actually common challenges and potential solutions like legislation and regulatory barriers. So we will discuss all points one by one. Yes, next please. Yes, if we talk about the legislative and regulatory barriers, so the challenges actually there is a one very the challenges and adequate obvious legislation and regulation can hide EPR implementation. So there is a solution. Actually, this PPT based on my research and my knowledge. So these are very basic points. So government should develop a clear and comprehensive legislation that already practicing. There is scope also defined, already defined that's a responsibility, and responsibility of the importers, brand owners, and these already some of EPR already defined, and just e-waste are introduced, and there is a lots of category are includes. So the scope and responsibility and the requirement of the producers. So these are some of the solution. Yes, next please.
Raghavendra ji, can you come a little bit closer to the mic? Voice is a little bit
Okay.
less.
Okay. And second one is lack of stakeholders collaborations. So these are the very the major challenges. All stakeholders or all responsible person, not collaboration. So effective EPR required a collaboration among various stakeholders, including government, producer, consumers as well, and the waste management entities. Lack of cooperation and coordination can impede progress. You all know. So here is some solution. So encourage stakeholder engagement through consultation process, public-private partnership, and a multi-stakeholder platforms. So these can help to collaborate all stakeholders and all consumers also. That's it. Now you can all of can hear properly, right? Okay. Third one is a financial consideration. Of course, there is a one very major challenges. Actually, implementing EPR program can involve actually significant cost, which is extra cost for all means producers, manufacturers, or in all industries, especially for setting up a collection system, recycling infrastructures, and enforcement mechanisms. So these are very the extra cost for the industries. Here are some solutions from our side. Actually, explore funding mechanisms such as a producer fees, eco-modulation of a fee based on environmental performance, or dedicated environmental funds by the Indian government. These financial mechanisms can help cover the cost associated with the EPR implementation and ensure the sustainability of the program. So these are the solutions. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yes, the major challenge is also consumer behavior and awareness. You all know the Indian, Indian pupils like they actually EPR is very good initiative by the government, and we are actually we are seeing all incredible changes in Indian consumer behavior or awareness about the EPR. So the challenge is lack of awareness of understanding among consumers about their role in EPR, and the importance of proper waste disposal can undermine the effectiveness of the system. So these are the challenges. Some solutions from our side. Actually, conduct target educational campaign for the raise public awareness about EPR. So that will educate the people for the EPR, waste management and recycling. Provide clear instruction on product disposal and the benefit of responsible consumer behavior. Actually, that promotes convenient, that must be convenient and accessible collection points to facilitate proper waste disposal. If the government provide that solution, government also try to get the education about the waste management, about the all kind of management, means the single use plastic. So government are making the policy for all kind of the solution. Next, please. Yes, actually, these are also one of challenges, market and industry dynamics. So these here are very AI based. So the dynamic of market industry also a challenges. So certain industries or products may face unique challenges due to a complex supply chains, diverse stakeholders, or technical deficiency in a recycling. So the solution may be actually for a collaboration of an innovation for the EPR supporting mechanism and encourage research and development for a sustainable product design and alternative materials, provide guidance and technical assistance to industries facing a specific challenge to find viable solutions. So that may be a solution. Yes. Next, please. Actually, enforcement and compliance is also a very big challenges because the ensuring compliance with the EPR regulation and holding producers accountable can be challenging. Practically, in case of non-compliances or a fee, actually, in a EPR program. So the solution may be establish robust monitoring, so that just like in other department like income tax and other. So there is a robust monitoring, and of course the reporting system must be there. So that the enforcement of compliance is there. So these are the challenges and solution for the enforcement and the compliances related. Yes, next please. Yes, there is some success stories and positive impact of EPR on our industry and communities. So you heard about in Europe, there is a separate system based electronic and electrical equipment. It's a WEEE recycling in Europe. So they in 2019 they achieved a collection rate, a higher collection rate for 41, and they are increasing significantly in day by day. So they already introduced some. They already actually in Europe. These are very good work in European countries. It creates a job opportunity in the recycling sectors And actually, the PEE reduce the release of hazardous substance into the environment, protecting public health and the ecosystem. Yes. Take it. Previous slide, please. Yes, packaging based management in Germany. So these also this is also one of the successful story of Germany. So actually there is a program packaging waste known as a green dot. So these are also a very good in a Germany. They are also doing a very good in a packaging industries. See, the green dot system has achieved a high recycling rate for packaging waste. Actually, nowadays, I think so 70% of packaging material being recycled in a Germany. Next case. Actually, best practice and case studies. There's some practice and case studies from my side. Next, please. Actually, industry successful implementing of EPR. That's a very requirement. So e-waste management in India, the e-waste management to 2016 responsible for responsibilities of PIBOs, means producers, importers, and brand owners. So you all know that, who is dealing in e-waste, electronics and IT products. So there is some products already listed in the scope of the e-waste, but now as per the current list, there is a 7 to 8 categories. In that category, multiple products are introduced by the government, and there is a the big brand already implemented that EPR system very accurately, and they are doing. So Sujit ji and Abhishek ji already completed about this part. Yes, next please. Second one is the battery recycling. This is also a waste for in India. So the battery recycling also very important, because battery is the battery. For India already developed guidelines very previously in 2001. And they are already working for a battery waste recycling. So now they are also implemented the EPR for the battery waste recycling. India automotive battery industry has already implemented the EPR practice to manage end of life of the battery. So these are the requirements. Next, please. Yes, third one, plastic waste management. So these are very challenging for the India, because we are very addicted to use a single layer plastic, single used plastic. So the plastic waste management also introduced by the government of India in 2016.
Alert from calendar. ICAMCHMC lab equip weekly meeting.
Yes, actually, fast-moving consumer goods companies like the big, they are also a big companies. They all already implemented the plastic waste management system. So these companies have established take-back mechanism for a plastic packaging. So government of India already introduced a plastic waste management for EPR for the plastic waste management. Yes, for packaging only. Yes, next please.
If we can finish in the next 5 minutes, Raghavendra ji, then we can have a question and answer session.
Okay, not an issue. I will try to. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, lesson learned. Some of the lesson learned from the industry, and actually practical insight from the industry leaders. So the industry leaders have gained valuable lesson and a practical insight through their experience in implementing EPR programs. Here are some of the lesson learned. I listed out. Next, please. Actually they learn, actually collaboration is the key. So when successfully implementing requires collaboration of all stakeholders, so producers, government agency, waste management entities, and consumers. If all are these collaborate and support for the EPR, then this is very easy to implement. Yes, Early engagement and planning also one of the key. If we make a strategy to for the EPR early, then we can the implement very early. And consumer education and behavior, I also already discussed about. It's a very important key. Robust data management and monitoring are also a very important key for the implementing of EPRs and all. And the flexibility of and adaptability of the EPR system are also one of the key to successfully implementing of EPR. By incorporating these lessons and a practical insight, industry leaders can drive successful EPR implementation, achieve sustainable waste management outcomes, and contribute to a circular economy. So that's a very important. Yes, next please. There are some challenges faced during EPR implementation and studies. To overcome them, I make out some point. During the implementing of extended producer responsibility, several challenges can arise. However, with appropriate strategies and measures, these challenges can overcome. Here are some common challenges faced during EPR implementation and the studies here below. Next, please. A lack of awareness and understanding. So actually, these are very big challenge. Lack of awareness, including producers, consumers, even policymakers, may have limited awareness and understanding of EPR concept and their actually benefits. So it's nowadays these are these lack of awareness. We can say in a particular some sector like government, they have a knowledge. I can't say. And due to these kind of educational webinar, we are also spreading the knowledge. So the awareness is the awareness is very important key. Yes. So the strategies conduct. Yes, we can conduct webinars and government also supports for these kind of educational policy, so that the consumers and all stakeholders industry will actually aware for this EPR program. Yes, next please. Yes, actually, these insufficient infrastructure and resources are also a very big barriers for implementing a EPR. So the challenge is adequate infrastructure. Even now, there is a very during the registration we also search for the multiple e-waste processors or and all recyclers. And the connecting of those with the industries are very challenging. So recycling facilities and enforcement mechanism are also these infrastructures are currently also challenges. Invest in development and upgrading infrastructure, particularly in areas where EPR program are being implemented, like e-waste, battery waste, and plastic waste. These may include establishing collection centers, recycling facilities, and logistics networks. So currently, actually, EPR is very new in India. So as you can see, consumer are currently consumer are not aware for the recycling process, because if we put any collection center in a particular area, then we have to give our education to collect the waste and throw that particular area, and the collect or collect and call to the recycler to collect the waste, so that the infrastructure also not there very accurately. I can't say not there, but this is not a very accurately. Yes, next please. Compliance and enforcement are also a challenges. Ensuring compliance with the EPR regulation and enforcement accountability among producers can be challenges. I already told you about these challenges. So the strategy for this, we have to educate the people, we have to educate the industry via the webinars programs, and government can also help actually for this educational program, so that we can
Alert from low
enforce
battery.
and compliances very accurately. Yes, complex supply chains and multi-stake stakeholder coordinations is also one of the major challenges. So these are one strategy from my side. Yes, these are also challenges due to lack of time. So we are actually skipping some PPTs. Yes, please, next, please. Yes, adequate data management and reporting. So these are also very big challenges. Collecting among and analyzing data related to the EPR performance, such as a collection rate,
Alert from
recycling
low
rate.
battery.
So these, please give me some time.
I think Mr. Raghavendra has some technical issues. As he joins, I have a few questions that have come up. So, Raghavendra ji, as you join, I will have maybe Abhishek take this question. Uh, see, you had
Yes.
mentioned in your slide, Abhishek, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, I'm there.
Yeah. So you had mentioned in your slide about third-party audits. So what
Mhm.
exactly does it mean, and how should it be done?
Okay. So, under the rule, there is a provision in which it is mentioned that the Central Pollution Control Board and the state pollution control boards will be conducting audit of these producers, importers, and brand owners, and also the recyclers, PWPs, to check whatever they have submitted in during the registrations are adequate or no. They will be auditing all those information for checking if there is any misreporting or false information, if they are not compliant to what they have said. So those audit they will be conducting through their third party impaneled auditors, and post that audit there will be implication of non if there is a non-compliance observed and came out from the audit report, there will be penalties and environmental compensation will be charged.
Okay. Okay. Next question, Mr. Sukhjit, if you can take this up.
Yeah.
There is something called EPR certification and also something called plastic and carbon credits. Are these interchangeable, or are they completely different things? Mr. Sukhjit.
Carbon credit and plastic credit are two separate activities and are not interlinked to each other. EPR is plastic credit in layman's language, and that is the portal which was shown in the presentation. That is where the e-credits or the electronic plastic credits will get accumulated, transferred, uh, PIBOs will get registered. So the entire transaction, trading and purchase of plastic credit will happen on that CPCB EPR portal only. Anything outside that portal is not acceptable. And carbon credit is a totally separate animal, and it has no correlation whatsoever with this particular platform.
Okay. And also continuing that question, is plastic credits tradable?
Yes, it is tradable. That is why all the plastic waste processors are there, and they are having their tonnage shown. Each tonnage is equal to a credit, which is there in that particular portal. And if you say, I want 100 tons of credit, so they will charge a certain amount of money and transfer that credit into the producer or the importer's account or the brand owners, whatever is the respective legal entity's account. There is a cost attached to it, and it is tradable.
Question to you, Raghavendra ji. You had mentioned about WMA. So, do the WMA and PWP also need to register? Not sure if Mr. Raghavendra's connection is fine. Abhishek, can you take that?
Yes, yes. So under the rule, currently registration is only required for the recyclers or the plastic waste processors, not for the waste management agencies. Those are the voluntary agencies which companies connect for providing the service of ensuring the CPR fulfillment is done.
Correct. Okay. Um, so now, how do the collection centers, become part of this? Like, say there is a collection center, or
Mhm.
say I want to set up a collection center. So
Mhm.
then, do I have any registrations that I need to do?
See, there are two separate things. The collection centers, the material recovery facilities, these are the waste management facilities for collection, segregation, and XYZ. Right. Now, to do this, there are separate models being implemented in India in separate regions wherein municipalities and the government bodies, in conjunction and contract and PPP model, onboard certain third party or private parties to run that show, or somebody can independently do it, but they need local permissions and all those permissions which are required to operate, not the EPR related thing. Yeah, not the, it is not directly linked with the EPR credit, it's not linked with the EPR, but it is a part of waste management where the collection, and that is the first point through which it is collected and sent to the recycler who process it, and the recycler is the body who needs to be registered on the portal for the EPR ambit, but there is no separate registration from the EPR angle is required for these collection centers who are not processing or who are not recycling or processing the plastic waste.
Okay. I think one question which has been repeated quite a few times. So we are a toll and contract manufacturers and working on behalf of brand owners. So will EPR apply to us?
Okay, and this is an interesting question which is being asked a lot of times. So let me explain this situation for the companies who are kind of working as a contract manufacturers. See, if you are, if you are procuring the plastic packaging, let's say you are a contract manufacturer for a shampoo, and you are filling that shampoo in a shampoo bottle, and you are procuring that shampoo bottle on your invoice, and then you are ultimately selling it to the brand owners. To ensure the compliances is achieved between these two parties, and the transaction is reported rightly, you need to connect with your brand owner or the company who are dealing with. See, there is an option, and there is a discussion which happened with CPCB along with these companies and industries, wherein CPCB kind of gave a solution wherein these companies can register as producer, move all these obligation of the shampoo bottles which they have sold to the brand owners through the on the portal, and disclose those transaction and move it on the obligation account of the brand owner, but to register and start uploading those details. But again, this comes up with a lot of complication and obligation and lot of other things which needs to be taken care of. But this is not something, a very unique general scenario, it's a very unique scenario. So if you have such question, we might need to get in detail in terms of what kind of invoice arrangements between the contract manufacturer and brand owner you have. On the basis of specific situation and scenario, we would be able to answer that question. But I gave you a fair point of view what is
Right.
currently being implemented.
Right. And regarding maybe Mr. Singh, you can answer this. How do you fix the price of these credits, plastic credits?
So there is a market rate which is there as per the recycler. There will be certain variations. Uh, these credits are an output of their production or their operational cost plus an element of profit, and then it is tradable. Now each organization will have a cost and a certain amount of profit. The operational cost will keep on varying and depending upon whether it's a low cost or a high cost organization. That is point one. Second is whether the material that they are procuring is at what rate, low cost, high cost. So the operational cost becomes a major component. However, there are certain benchmarks, and if there is a huge volume, yes, the PWPs will come down on the rate because they are getting a good tonnage in terms of trading. And if the volume is less, the cost per ton actually increases.
Okay. Okay. So I think it was a a pretty detailed 1.5 hours of session today. We have had a lot of questions that have come up. A few of them have been answered, but definitely it was a good session and a knowledgeable one to learn more about EPR and its implications. We have overshot the time limit for the day. Whatever questions the audience has, I would suggest them to write into us. We'll circulate it back to the speakers, and then they can answer it back. Or they, if there are really detailed discussions that are required, even that can be arranged on a one-on-one session kind of a thing. With that, I would like to thank all the three speakers for the day. Mr. Abhishek Garg from A. Garg and Company. Then I have Mr. Subjeet Singh from Ekatvam Plastic Recycling Services. And finally, Mr. Raghavendra Singh from Aleph India for giving a wonderful knowledge sharing session. Thank you once again. And thanks to the audience as well.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Guru Prasad. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would suggest all of us to join once again at 3 o'clock for the second session, which is on plastic recycling. Thank you.